Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What was it? 21st. 22nd, eh? 26, 3 days ago. Yeah. 21st. 22nd. Yeah. 22nd. Yeah. Good afternoon, members of the media, members of Mkhonto Wesizwe. The leadership of Mkhonto Wesizwe. Let me start by introducing the leadership seated here. We have the SG, fresh from the box, Stwana Nomvalo. We've got the DSG, Sally Dlamini. We've got the national organizer, Comrade Alec Nguna. The press briefing this afternoon will be led by the SG, where he's going to take us through in his statement the outcomes of the national officials meeting, the plans going ahead in light of it being the year of the local government elections, and I think other further announcements which are important, both to the membership and to South Africa at large. Without much of a delay, I'll allow the SG to now lead us in reading out the statement, and then we'll take the questions and answers after. Thank you. SG.
Thank you very much, Somlomo, and greetings to the SGO, the entire SGO is here, the Deputy Secretary General on my right, and the National Organizer on my left. Let me also extend my greetings to members of the media and to MK comrades who have come to this press briefing. The purpose of this press briefing is to inform the members of the MK party and South Africans at large about the resolutions that have been espoused by the national officials meeting, which was held in Durban from the 22nd until the 23rd, from Sunday until Monday. Fellow South Africans, members of Mkhonto Wesizwe Party and members of the media, revolutionary greetings. We address you today following the officials meeting held on Sunday, the 22nd of March 2026 until the 23rd in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, where the leadership of Mkhonto Wesizwe Party undertook a comprehensive assessment of the current state of the organization, the broader political environment in the country and internationally, and also urgent political organizational tasks that lie ahead in the immediate term of the party. The Commander General, President Jacob Zuma of Mkhonto Wesizwe Party, provided a very solid political guidance and direction to the national officials meeting. The national officials received and deliberated on a number of detailed reports from all functional units and executive offices in the organization, including a comprehensive organizational report presented by the Secretary General. The reports tabled in the meeting confirm that while the MK party has experienced rapid growth and widespread support across the country, there are areas that need strengthening within the party's overall institutional framework. The meeting adopted a strategic institutional and political roadmap to reaffirm the party's position as a beacon of hope for the downtrodden masses of our people in South Africa. The briefing is intended to provide a summary of robust discussions, resolutions, and decisions taken by the meeting, as well as the instructive political direction and mandate from the Commander General, President Jacob Zuma. South Africa is facing a number of serious political, social, and economic challenges, including deep economic inequality, mass unemployment, especially among the youth, a crisis of governance and state capacity, growing social instability, and water crisis. The current political arrangement between the former ruling party, the ANC, and its coalition partner that is made up of largely of the remnants of the apartheid hierarchy, the DA, and the so-called GNU, has failed to resolve the fundamental contradictions of our society. The GNU is nothing more than a coalition of political parties interested in holding on to power for the sake of power itself, and not the interest to serve the ordinary masses of South Africa. The shocking revelations of abuse of state power, rampant corruption and greed, collision between criminals and those entrusted to preside on institutions of law enforcement and adjudication of justice in the Madlanga Commission ad hoc committee in Parliament, and also ventilated in some cases before our courts, clearly demonstrate the depth of crisis we are facing as a nation. The revelations at the Madlanga Commission and ad hoc committee in Parliament attest to the current trust deficit between the state and ordinary citizens. The true colors and intentions of the so-called GNU are being exposed in both the Commission and Parliamentary Ad hoc Committee. The question that should be foremost in the minds of ordinary citizens in South Africa is whether the ANC and DA government can be trusted to continue leading our society against such glaring and shocking revelations happening under their watch. The smaller parties supporting the GNU coalition are merely there to pick up the crumbs and spoils of power. They stand very little chance of changing anything, since the real power behind the GNU is the ANC and the DA, who have so far failed to act on the countless cases and incidences of abuse of state power, such as Palapala matter, the sealing of bank statements regarding the CR17 campaign, the rampant looting of the Tembisa Hospital coffers by individuals directly linked to those in power, and many other cases as witnessed in the media almost on a daily basis. Under the troubling circumstances explained above, the call by President Zuma, repeated recently at his visit to the president of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Mr. Julius Malema, for all progressive black parties to unite and work together to complete the liberation project in South Africa is the most progressive political intervention suggested since 1994 to resolve the crisis facing this country. The MK party positions itself not just not as just another political party seeking votes to be in power, but as a liberation movement committed to the fundamental transformation of society and the immediate and direct total uprooting of the legacy of apartheid and colonial conquest. We are driven by the belief that political freedom without economic justice is incomplete. The Umkhonto weSizwe Party strongly condemns the escalating war in the Middle East involving the Islamic Republic of Iran, the State of Israel, and the United States of America, and calls for an immediate cessation of hostilities in the interest of global peace and stability. The party notes with grave concern that this conflict has already triggered sharp increases in global oil prices, which inevitably translate into higher fuel costs for developing economies such as South Africa, where transport and production depend heavily on imported petroleum. Experts warn that disruption to major oil supply routes have pushed crude oil above $100 per barrel, placing upward pressure on fuel, food, and basic commodity prices worldwide. Umkhonto weSizwe Party emphasizes that it is the poor and the working class who suffer the most from these price shocks, as rising fuel costs cascades through the economy, increasing the cost of public transport, electricity, and essential goods, thereby deepening poverty, inequality, and economic hardship. The movement recognizes both opportunities and threats before it. There is a growing support among the masses of our people for a decisive political alternative to the moral bankruptcy and indifference of the so-called DNU. While our people are looking forward to an MK party to govern, our party is at the same time facing political attacks and misinformation, attempt to discredit and destabilize the movement, risk of internal opportunism and infiltration. We will confront these challenges with vigilance, unity, and discipline. In terms of the state of the organization and work that needs to be done by the Secretary General to improve overall functioning of the party, the following areas can be highlighted: improvement of administrative systems to cope with the rapid growth in the party, consolidation of discipline and conflict resolution mechanisms in anticipation of challenges as the party grows at a rapid pace, leadership deployment challenges and contestations arising from the very rapid growth trajectory in the party. It is important to acknowledge that the announcement and clarion call by President Zuma on the 16th of December 2023 and the excitement and the hope that the announcement created imposed conditions of both potential strength and possible weakness, as the organization did not have sufficient time to fully consolidate leadership structures, vet cadres, and build strong institutional systems while having to build an immediate election machinery within 5 months of its formation. The unprecedented positive outcome of the 2024 national and provincial elections is a testimony to the amazing work from the many volunteers and members of the party. As the party prepares itself for the upcoming 2026 local government elections and 2029 national and provincial elections, seeking to take over and lead in the majority of councils in South Africa later this year, and take over national and provincial government in 2029, it is abundantly clear that there is a need to build strong institutional, political, and accountability systems within the party. For a political party that is growing at such a rapid pace, the internal institutional challenges identified through various reports discussed in the meeting of the national officials are generally to be expected. The roadmap presented by the Secretary General outlines the specific steps and interventions to be undertaken to improve on challenges identified. The leadership has resolved that the immediate priority is to consolidate organizational discipline, unity, functionality across all levels of the party. To achieve this, the following interventions are being implemented. Firstly, immediate intervention will be paid to strengthen the conflict and dispute resolution mechanism, to address internal disputes, resolve grievances, and ensure that the organizational processes are respected and complied with. Secondly, the national officials will embark on a nationwide consultative process to engage the general membership of the party in all the branches, sub-regions, and regions. This process will ensure that the voices of ordinary members are heard and that solutions are informed by the lived realities in our branches and communities. Thirdly, the party will reassert constitutional authority and centralized coordination through the Office of the Secretary General. Clear reporting systems and accountability mechanisms will be strengthened to ensure discipline and coherence. While making it clear, the MK Party must operate as a united, disciplined, and mission-driven movement. In preparation for the upcoming 2026 local government elections, the MK Party has taken a bold and strategic decision to establish a nationally controlled and operationally devolved election machinery. This means the organization will direct its full energy and resources towards electoral mobilization and campaigns. Party structures will be streamlined to prioritize community engagements and voter mobilization. The operationally devolved election machinery will activate direct voter contact, identify key developmental challenges, and seek guidance from our masses in resolving these problems. This approach is designed not only to win the upcoming local government elections, but to unite the organization around a common national purpose of reclaiming the pride and dignity of our people, restore confidence in public institutions, and build an economy that is self-reliant and globally competitive. The meeting highlighted that branches, which are the backbone of the organization, remain unequal in strength and functionality across the country. As an immediate measure to improve this aspect, the MK Party will rebuild branches as centers of the people's power, strengthen political education and cadre development, ensure branches are active in community struggles, not just only on elections. Branches of the MK Party must become active political schools, organizing centers, and vehicles for community empowerment. We are moving decisively to ensure that the MK Party is rooted in the daily struggles of our people. To improve its resolve and tactical strength regarding policy certainty, the MK Party will convene a national policy conference in June 2026. This conference will provide a clear and coherent policy framework, guide public representatives and members, strengthen ideological unity within the movement. Following the policy conference, the party will launch its election manifesto through a national rally to be led by the president. This will mark the beginning of a mass mobilization campaign across the country. The leadership has adopted a clear roadmap with defined timelines, including immediate consultations across all provinces, establishment of election structures, a national policy conference in June, a national manifesto launch rally at the beginning of the election period or of the campaign period. And then it will be followed by the Siatata rally, which will be on the eve of the elections. These steps are aimed at stabilizing the organization and preparing it for a decisive electoral victory in the 2026 local government elections. Further to the above, the national officials have resolved to establish committees that will assist implementing the roadmap as follows. Policy Formulation Subcommittee. This committee will focus on consolidating party policies and will be constituted as follows. The chairperson of the committee is Comrade Lucky Montana. The deputy chairperson of the committee is Comrade Kanyisile Litchfield Shabalala. Members of the committee are as follows. Is Comrade Sali Dlamini, Comrade John Lela, Comrade Dr. Mtanti, Comrade Andile Mqitama, Comrade Jabu Khoza, Comrade Wenzokuhle Madlala, and Comrade Advocate Dalimpofu, SC. The national officials have resolved to establish the following committees to strengthen the implementation of organizational improvement plans. The National Detachment Committee, national officials, conveners and coordinators of the leagues and the student movement, here was suggesting that there must be a working committee. In fact, we have taken a resolution that there must be a working committee which will deal with the day-to-day work of the organization. This is in line with our structural reform and our institutional development program. So the new structures that have been established is a working committee. The working committee will be comprised by the national officials, conveners and coordinators of the leagues, and the secretaries of the provinces. The following structure will be the National Secretariat Forum, which will be comprised by the Secretary General and the provincial secretaries. In conclusion, fellow South Africans, as the leadership of Umkhonto weSizwe Party under the stewardship of President Jacob Zuma, we remain committed to unity of purpose and discipline within the party, organizational efficiency and resilience, serving the people of South Africa with humility and dedication. We call on all members of the MK party to rally behind the vision of our Commander General President Jacob Zuma and to place the interest of our people above individual interest and personal ambition. The revolution we're embarking on is inspired by the masses of our people at all material times. To the people of South Africa, we reaffirm the MK party is working tirelessly to build a credible, disciplined, and effective organization capable of delivering true liberation. The task before us is historic. The responsibility is great, but with unity, clarity, and determination, we will rise to the occasion.
First five. Let's see with the rise of hands. There you go. That's the first one. Samkel 2. 3. Isn't that SAPC crew already? And then, is there a fourth one? So 3 questions. Is there a roaming mic? If you could please, Bongani, circulate that. Please state your name and the organization or the publication or the channel that you represent. Thanks.
Thank you, Silva Sibiya from UFM. Firstly, when you talk about parties, black parties working together of becoming one party, okay, last week mentioning that that is still interest of working with the EFF or becoming one thing. And secondly, when you talk about black parties, do you include all black parties? Does that mean you include Maibuye of Floyd Shivambu?
Samkele Masego here from the SABC. Mr. Nomvalo, Secretary General of the party, just the essence of you take on this role when there's been a revolving door of Secretary Generals at the MK party, which in some quarters of society, it may be termed as instability and constant chopping and changing, which gives credence to lack of coherence within the party. What are you going to do to ensure in some of the priority areas that you've mentioned in coordinating the work of the party that it succeeds and that you are not dismantled or halted along the process by political divisions and instability of constant rumor mongering that goes to the leader of the party? Then secondly, on a policy formulation perspective, particularly on international relations and the balance of forces internationally. Where does the MK party sit, particularly with the tensions that have erupted in the Middle East and the Gulf region with the United States of America, Israel, and with Iran? Then lastly, on Morocco, we've seen a close-knit relationship between the party and Morocco. Does that signal the shifting sands in the geo-economic political space within the African continent, with Morocco signaling its overpowering and dominance once again within the politics of Africa? The relationship of MK and EFF, what are the deliberations thus far in finding that unity, noting that you as the MK party basically politically obliterated the EFF and KZN? Thank you.
Okay. Okay. My name is Ntebu Mokobo. I'm with the SABC. Secretary General, in fact, this is the first time I come to the MK party, and there hasn't been any mention in terms of someone moving in or someone moving out. My question is, how are you going to restore, I would say, confidence and hope of the people that voted for the MK party in terms of stability? Because sometimes the changing of leadership has created an impression on people that this is an organization that is so unstable, that is so unpredictable, because today Nomvalo is the Secretary General, and tomorrow or after 2 weeks, Ndlela might be the next Secretary General. So the instability in the MK party, how are you going to make sure that there is this stability and position the organization as an organization that is really alive to the present challenges that South Africans are faced with? Secondly, the MK party has become, for a lack of a litigious political organization. You seem to be always in court. I mean, even this morning you are in court. I think you want to take away the pension fund or stop the pension payouts of Ms. Shamila Batoyi. But these are just, court cases that are really difficult to win, or maybe there's been a number of cases that MK party has embarked together with its leader, President Zuma. There's never been a case on rescission. The first time we had a rescission case when the MK party again led that rescission case. How much are you spending in so many cases? And because every time there is a case that you guys have to battle out in court, how much are you spending? And are you really confident that, I mean, even this case, it's on an urgent basis? Are you likely going to win this case? Why spend so much time in court as opposed to spending so much time trying to maybe electrify the democratic electorate in South Africa on your? I think that's it for now.
Thank you very much. My name is Sisanda Mbolekwa from the Sunday Times. Good afternoon. My question to you today is towards the roadmap ahead of the local government elections. Has the party placed any efforts in distancing itself from the notion that it is a regional KZN party? And does the party plan to make any serious inroads in terms of winning electoral support in other parts of the country across South Africa? Thank you very much.
I take it that was the last question.
Yeah, for now.
For now, okay. SG?
No, thank you. Thank you, Somlomo. Thank you for the questions that you have asked. I think let me start with the last question that has been asked. I think a narrative that the MK party is a KZN-based organization is impoverished behind the narrative. It's unscientific. That narrative can only be driven by people who are lazy to think and who are lazy to do a proper assessment and investigation. And it comes from political illiteracy. Here in Gauteng, we're having MPLs, 8 MPLs. And this is Gauteng, this is not KZN. In the Eastern Cape, in Northwest, we're having an MPL. In Mpumalanga, we are having MPLs. So we are having a national footprint as a party. And the party was formed on the eve of elections, when we were left with 5 months to go to elections. That is why we are saying, when we were dissecting the shortcomings that are currently affecting the party, we said such shortcomings were inevitable because our party had no time to do a thorough assessment during its inception, because we were faced with elections on the other hand. So it's a party that had a twofold assignment from the word go. The first assignment was to build the party from scratch. The second assignment was to oil the election machinery. So this narrative, I don't know where it comes from. We're a national party. And maybe we must demonstrate our national footprints by taking our rallies to other provinces, which we can do with ease. We can take our rallies to the Eastern Cape and the stadium is going to be full. So it's a non-existing narrative which is being owned by lazy thinkers who are lazy to do research, and it comes from political illiteracy. And unfortunately, it does not disturb our morale. We will continue to fight for the establishment and for the existence of this party for a very long time. We understand that it comes from people who hate the party with passion. Just over the weekend that we are approaching, we are going to visit 4 provinces. We will go to Gauteng, we will go to Mpumalanga, we will go to the Western Cape. In the Western Cape, by the way, we won a by-election. So an organization which is based in one province, how can it win by-elections in the Western Cape if it's a KZN organization? Does that mean we passed people from KZN to the Western Cape? No. We are a national footprint organization which is at the formative stage. And this organization is growing both quantitatively and qualitatively. So we just dismiss that with the contempt it deserves, because it does not exist at all, and it's being owned by people who are lazy to do political work or political assessments. Then secondly, on a question of the unity of black parties, I think this is informed by the ideological characterization of the parties that we're talking about. Ourselves and the MK and the EFF, we own the same constituencies who are affected by the same allocated in the rural areas and in the urban areas. And we subscribed to similar ideologies. So how can we then differ? Because we subscribe to the same ideological characters. So how can we differ because of logos? That will be very petty. On issues of national importance, we must unite. On the issue of land, we must unite. On the issue of free, quality, and decolonized education, we must unite. On the issue of the shortage of water, which is currently a national crisis, we must unite, because we share the same constituencies. Where I come from, there is no member of the DA. When I go out, my neighbor is either an EFF or an MK member. So why do we divide black people if we claim to be representing the aspirations of the working class? If we claim to be representing the interest of blacks in general and Africans in particular, why are we dividing our constituencies? It's fine, we must respect the party independence. There are issues which we cannot tamper with, which are party-based. But on issues of national importance, it's important that we come together as the black parties. And this has not started now. It started a long time ago. When we got into parliament, we established a document called the Charter, the Progressive Charter, which outlines all the strategic objectives for the unity of these black parties. And which talks about the aspirations of black people, which talks about the strategies to which we must commit and the objectives. So that is the basic ideological foundation which defines this unity that we are talking about. So it's a unity that we must not postpone, and it doesn't matter whether it's Maibuye or what, for as long as they come with good intentions, and for as long as they don't have ulterior motives to this agenda of uniting black people, and for as long as they don't take a mandate from the white establishment, we must unite with them. Because what matters is the unity of black people. So we must unite black people and put our egos aside. We must put our personal interest aside. We must put our individual ambitions aside. This unity must be orchestrated, even if it means some of us must lose positions. But for as long as it carries the interest of blacks in general and South Africans in particular, it must never be postponed. So that is a unity that we are talking about, because President Zuma is always saying, these white people are funding us to open parties. Why are they doing that? The mandate is to fragment the black votes. They want us to go to the ballot divided so that they can triumph, so that the agenda by the white establishment will remain intact. So it's a unity that we cannot postpone, and it's a unity that speaks directly to the interest of black people. And then I also don't understand people who would want to characterize the state of the MK party as being unstable because we are making rapid changes of leadership. This is a new formation which has a political fragility, which is inevitable because of its age. We're a young organization. We are less than 3 years. So constant changes are inevitable because from time to time, we test characters to different responsibilities. And we say maybe this character can help us to achieve this objective. And if we realize that the character, because we're still trying to study different modalities towards achieving a united and disciplined force of the left. And if we realize that this character at this stage does not take us to where we want to be, we make changes. And there's nothing wrong with that. So where do you take this instability? Where do you draw it from? Because our caucuses in parliament, for instance, are running properly. If you go to Cape Town, you will never find a day where our caucus is not there because of instability. If you go to KZN, you will never find an instance where our caucus members are not there because there's instability. We are developing systems from time to time through applying different methods and modalities. So that is not instability. A party that suffers from instability is a party that cannot even conduct its business, its core business. You see, we're having a media briefing here. Comrades are full here. We're wearing a regalia. They are charismatic. They are energetic. And they've been energetic since the inception of this party. So you are very narrow when you want to characterize the party as being unstable if you are using this thing of changing leadership as a yardstick. You must go further, go beyond. Go to committees in parliament and see the participation of our comrades there. And tell me if comrades with that capacity can be coming from an organization which suffers from instability. An organization that suffers from instability can't even provide a political mandate to its deployees. Our deployees go to parliament every day, guided by the mandate of the party. That's stability. So I lobby you to change that mindset because it is going to take you to the forest. It's a wrong mindset. If you want to know the state of the MK party, you need to go deeper. Go and analyze our structures. Go and analyze. It's like the people who are saying we're a party with no policies. They don't know that in 2024, we went to Bela Bela. There are policies that are in place which are defining the ideological character of the MK party. We're an organization which subscribes to Pan-Africanism. We adopted those policies and we're saying now we must go back to the policy conference so that we can comprehensively define our aims and objectives and comprehensively define our ideological character. Because the political dynamics are not stagnant. They change from time to time. So it's important for the party to revisit its policies as society continues to mature. So it's a wrong narrative that you must dispense with. Leave it to lazy thinkers to drive it. It's a wrong narrative. It's far-fetched. It does not exist. Even if we can be changed tomorrow, we can be changed or we can be removed. We're not going to view this party as a party with no stability because we are removed from positions. And one thing that we have never done to suit this narrative is to go deeper into the reasons that led to the removal of the people who have been removed. I'm sure we have never done that. That one has been removed and therefore there's instability. That is wrong. The role of investigative journalists and journalists in general is more complex than that, is more broader than that. You can't rely on headlines. If SABC says Mwango has been removed, Nomvalo is in, then the party is not suffers from instability. Go deeper. What has led to the removal of that comrade? What has led to the appointment of this comrade? How is this comrade going to carry the mandate of the party forward? What qualities does he have that the other does not have for this particular task? I think that is what you must do so that you will have a narrative which carries some substance. And then, am I leaving anything else?
International.
International relations.
On international relations, we support anything that launches an onslaught again, and successfully so, against the neoliberal Western agenda. It's for the first time Donald Trump doesn't know whether he's going or he's coming or going. Just last week, they attacked the nuclear base in Iran. So America is a bully. We know that they are a bully. Donald Trump is a bully. He's a lunatic bully. But this time he's confused because he did not expect the military response that he's getting. It's very massive. But as a party that carries the interest of the people, we are saying we call for cessation. We call for peace, we call for stability. Because even countries which are not directly involved in the conflict are affected. Fuel is going up, the price of oil has gone up, and that tells you what will happen tomorrow. If fuel goes up, food on the shelves is going to go up as well, and the whole country will be affected. So we're calling for peace. That is our position. We're calling for peace. There must be peace. There must be diplomatic engagements that will lead to peace and stability. But in that call, we are saying we support any person who launches an onslaught successfully so against the Western imperialist agenda. Because Donald Trump has behaved like a mini god of the world, as a god of the world, who can bully any country. But we're calling for peace because our people must not suffer as a consequence of the conflicts that are happening in the Middle East. And then with regards to litigation, going to court and so on and so forth, there's nothing wrong when you go to court because you have to seek relief. And going to court is better than going to the street. Because when you go to court, you are going to seek relief because you believe that there is unfairness and the law has not been followed to a particular extent. So there's absolutely nothing peculiar with that. We must not be made to feel bad because we like going to court. Remember, we are the official opposition, and our constitutional mandate is to hold the government accountable. We try to hold the government accountable in parliament, but we don't have numbers. In the ad hoc committee, for instance, there are many things that we have fought for which we have not won. We fought for Ramaphosa not to respond through written questions. We said he must come to parliament and be treated like other citizens who have come in parliament before him, like other witnesses. He must not be given a special treatment because there's nothing special about him. There's everything dishonest and dishonorable about him. So he must not be given a special attention, treatment. We also said General Khan, who is now appearing, whose name is now being spoken about every day in the Madlanga Commission. We said General Khan must come and answer. But because we did not have numbers, we lost those battles. Now, what option do you have when you try to fight things as an official opposition using oversight mechanisms in parliament? You try to fight those things in parliament and lose them. What should you do as the next step? Should you fold arms? Especially when you feel that there's injustice here. You can't fold arms. You use all the available mechanisms, including going to court, because court is a legal institution. When you are going to court, you are not going to a sangoma to ask for of killing somebody. When you go to court, you go to seek relief from a perceived competent judge. You are using the legal routes, you are using the legal mechanisms. So that can't be viewed as a foreign practice. It's not foreign. It's within the constitutional framework, it's within our right, and it's within our mandate as well as the official opposition to do that. So there's nothing wrong. Even tomorrow, if there's a need for us to go to court, we will go to court. If there's a need next week for us to go to court, we'll go to court. So even if there's a need for us to go to court every day, we will go to court every day. for as long as we feel that there's an injustice that has been committed against the interest of the people of South Africa. I leave it to Somda. Take marks.
Is there anyone else that wants to ask oh, Lunga, Melon Guardian? Anyone else? I think, is that the only one? Okay. Lunga?
Yes. No, thank you very much, Secretary General. My name is Lunga. I'm from the Mail and Guardian. Look, my first question would be in terms of the Gauteng budget. How are you planning to vote here in Gauteng? We know, obviously, the Secretary General of the ANC has said that he will refuse to meet with you, and one of those things was maybe to try and create a relationship between Gauteng and an MK party here in KZN and in Gauteng. So, is there talks going on? How are you planning to vote for that budget in Gauteng? And secondly, for you, Secretary General, would it not been? I mean, it's a very interchanging position that you are having there. Would you not have rather remained there in Parliament, or do you feel that maybe this this would be a better option for you to grow in the party? And secondly, maybe are you putting Mr. Kanyile here as the mayor of Johannesburg? Who's coming as the mayor? Thank you.
Uyasebenza Kanye.
Okay. No, with regards to the budget issue in Gauteng, we wrote a letter, I think last week, 2 days ago, to our caucus here in Gauteng, directing it to vote against the budget. So the current position is that the budget must be voted against. And for the following reasons. It's a common cause that the MK party won KZN. We are the largest party and not the majority because of what happened. But we are the largest party in KZN. The ANC is the largest party here in Gauteng. So we said, out of sympathizing with a cause that is being championed by Panyaza here, because Panyaza was able to defy the agenda of the white establishment. Out of his convictions, he established his cabinet. Out of the guidance of the national leadership. And then we said, because of that, maybe we can be lenient towards Panyaza here in Gauteng because he is not part of the white establishment agenda. But remember that the MK party is a unitary organization. It's not a federation of provinces. So when we deal with the issue of governance, we can't deal it with one province in isolation. That is why the discussions about provincial governments must be held at a national level between the national parties, not between provinces. Because you can use Gauteng to negotiate for KZN. You can use KZN to negotiate for Gauteng. So out of the political illiteracy, insurmountable political illiteracy of the Secretary General of the ANC, who can't even understand who's a strategic potential ally in the revolution, we took the decision that we took because our second deputy president invited them to a bilateral meeting to say, let us come and discuss about KZN and ultimately Gauteng. He did not even respond to that letter. And that is a reflection of a deep-seated hatred, deep-seated ignorance, political ignorance. Because a party that was able to engage with the West enemy that killed the people of South Africa, why is it difficult for it to engage with the MK party, which talks about liberating blacks in general and Africans in particular? Why would you make a mockery when that party invites you to a discussion about a proper running of government? You go to the media and make that party a laughing stock. So we said maybe even here in Gauteng, we need to change our posture. But we took that position with a full apprehension of the stance that has been taken by the Premier of Gauteng. And we sympathize with him because he now suffers from the sins of the incumbents. We know that he does not believe in the DA. He excluded the DA from his government, despite an unreasonable instruction and pressure he was getting from his top leadership. So we wrote a letter to our caucus to say, maybe it's high time that we do not vote with the ANC so that they can see how they pass their budget without the MK party. Because here we're an organization as well. We can't watch our comrades being suffocated here. I mean, being suffocated in KZN, and while we are mingling with the ANC in Gauteng, as if we are talking about different parties. This is a unitary organization. It's the same party. Provinces are accountable to the same national leadership. So it doesn't make sense. But we have not stopped the discussions. There are ongoing discussions. Anything might change depending on the attitude that we get. I'm not going to disclose the nitty-gritties at this stage of those discussions. But there are discussions that are being conducted underground. So that is the position of the MK party. That with regards to mayoral candidates and your vote of confidence to Kamile, I don't know. but the party will establish guidelines which are going to give guidance on the selection of our mayoral candidates. We're not going to do it haphazardly. When the time is right, we'll inform the media that we are now at the stage where we are ready to communicate with you on who is our mayoral candidate, where and how, because we want to be scientific in the process. We don't want to do it haphazardly. We want to get capable men and women who are going to serve our metros, our district municipalities, our local municipalities, and who are going to be councillors and serve with the highest level of success. We don't want mediocrity. So we're not going to rush the process because other parties have announced. We're not going to do that. For now, we are busy with our policy framework that will make a determination of how we are going in the process. So that is the position. No, but I'm sure if there are changes in Parliament, you will be told.
No, I'm saying with you may not rather remain then.
No, but as I'm saying, if there are changes in Parliament, you will be told. They usually communicate when somebody has been moved out of Parliament. They make it public.
It's reaching, it's overreaching. When I take the last round of questions, then we have to close.
Samkele, once again from the SABC. Mr. Nomvalo, the question on Morocco, you didn't answer it, and also on the issue of strengthening the inner workings of the organization since you are now in office, how are you going to deal with those particular issues? Then on the issue of Gauteng, I find it very peculiar on this deep relationship that seemingly is there between the ANC in Gauteng, because Panyaza is not an individual, he's from part of an organization, and yourselves. If you're saying discussions are ensuing underground, what would be the content of those underground discussions? Particularly noting that the budget does not pass without you in the Gauteng legislature, unless if they were to adopt a similar method they adopted in Ekurhuleni, with how Dr. Kagaza passed his budget with the abstention of the DA and Action SA from the voting process. Are you looking at rather voting, non-voting by abstaining in the Gauteng provincial legislature? Then on the discussions between Mbalula and Tony Yengeni, whom are seemingly friends outside of the political realm, what would be the nature of the discussions that the MK party would want to have with the ANC when, after the elections, the ANC had written to the MK party seeking engagements to form a government in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and the MK's party simply blue-ticked them and never responded at all, and the leadership was nowhere to be found, as in the records that are there within the public domain at the time?
Yeah, no, maybe, no, maybe, maybe let me come on the last one, Samuel. You know, I think flexibility, natural flexibility is very important generally in life. When we were invited to discussions as the MK party, it was after the elections, if you remember. And the MK party at that stage was contesting the legitimacy of the election outcome. That is a task that we're busy with. That is why we did not pitch up to their meetings. In fact, we did pitch up, and to some meetings, conditions were put, and those conditions were never agreed to by the ANC. But I'm saying at that time, the reason why we did not initiate a meeting out of our own volition is because the task at hand was to deal with the illegitimate election outcome. That was the priority of our political program at the time. Now we are saying, in pursuit of a call that is being made continuously by our president, parties must come together and see how we co-govern. Balula is giving a mischaracterization of black parties. He says we are not a pro-left organization. Does he even know what a pro-left organization is? I doubt he knows, because I even doubt that he has ever read the policies of the MK party. He has never read them. But he is quick to go to the media and mischaracterize our organization. How can an organization that subscribes to Pan-Africanism be not pro-left? An organization that calls for quality decommodified education, how can it be not pro-left? An organization that calls for the restoration of the land to black people, an organization that calls for the restoration of the dignity of black people, an organization that calls for the liberation of traditional leaders. What is left? Does Balula know what left is? Or he is left in not knowing what left is? I doubt he knows what left is. Because the MK party is a pro-left organization. Before we even go to the ideological characters, our constituencies are the same. Like I said, I used to be a party agent. When we come today in my VT, I've never found even a single vote of the DA. Even a single vote. The contestation is always between the EFF, ANC, now MK party. When those people are marching for water, for the shortage of water, they all march for the same plight because they are all affected by the same plight. They march for the same relief because they are all affected by the same plight. So what is left? And how do you define a person who is pro-left and who is not pro-left? So it's a mischaracterization. I think the MK party must offer political education to the Secretary General of the ANC, because really he's doing an injustice to the intellectual capacity of his organization. And what else? Oh, the question about what we will do to build structures, proper structures, or to build a proper organizational machinery. We've just explained here somewhere. We said that the branches are a basic unit. If you want to build an organization, you must start from branches, because it can't exist in the atmosphere. It can't exist in the island. In the branches, that's where the livelihood of the organization is. That's where our constituencies are. That's where our people are suffering. That's where our people are being ill-treated by ANC councillors. That's where our people are experiencing catastrophes of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. That's where our people are feeling the pain of poverty. So if you are not found at a branch level as an organization, you are as good as non-existent. Because where are you driving the agenda of total liberation? Because the agenda is driven. So we are going to build proper branches of the MK party, but that is not going to be the end. We will formulate proper policy positions, because the revolution must be regulated by policies. So the revolution must be expressed, and the desires, the political and ideological desires, must be expressed through policy formulations. So it's not going to end there. We build proper structures. We educate these structures politically so that they don't speak like Figile Mbaluda. We formulate policies, proper policies that are going to speak into the aspirations of Blacks in general and South Africans in particular. And we have given ourselves a time frame of building these structures. We're saying before the end of April, we must be having proper structures which are relevant in the confines of the election work at this stage, because the focus is on the elections. And we'll go to a policy conference, and you will be there to experience the policy positions that we are going to adopt and that we are going to improve as an organization. Thank you.
Samkel, on the issue of Morocco, I think we've stated clearly and categorically what our posture is on Morocco. One of the things that we stated is that, this perception that, the Sahrawi people and the Polisario Front are not engaging with the Moroccan government is not factual. It's a posture of those who are not living in the realm that we are living in today. The world has moved on. Last year in October, there was a meeting that was held and set up by the UN Security Council. And in that meeting, there was the adoption of a resolution called 2797. You can go and check on it. That resolution spoke about them bringing unity, okay, to rid of this balkanization perception, this balkanization of colonial borders, right? And just even this year, Mauritania, Polisario Front, Algeria, as well as Morocco, met in Spain, where they were discussing the implementation of that resolution. And if you look at even the details around the countries that supported that, it was countries of BRICS members, our own members supported this. So the posture of, MK that it has taken is progressive because the world is moving on. If you look at the agreement, for those that are not informed, let's educate them. Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali have signed agreements with Morocco, progressive agreements, where they'll have access to their ports for trade. So to position Morocco as if it's a country, that is not bringing about unity and Africanism is incorrect, and the fact that MK's posture is incorrect. It's not correct. That's a wrong characterization of our policy posture and where the world is at. In 2017, when President Zuma was president, he met up with King Mohammed to discuss African unity. So whilst he was at the former liberation movement, leading the same misinformed goons today that want to come and talk about MK's posture on Morocco being misguided. It's not misguided. We are clear, we know what we're doing. As you know, President went to Morocco, he met up with the leadership there. And by the way, he met up with other members of the front. So to create this perception as if MK's posture on Morocco is not sound, is coming from unsound people. Thank you. I think that's it. Yeah. No, thank you. Members of the public, members of Contour Seized South Africans, and members of the media, we appreciate your presence and for covering this press conference. Thank you. Cheers.